What's your creepiest glitch in the Matrix or unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? So, this might be hard to explain. I was probably 12 and lived in a big log cabin. One day while my parents were at work, I got in a fight with my brother, 18, who had some anger issues. He chased me through the house and I ran out one door, around our porch and in through another door. I was going to lock it behind me but didn't have time because he was too close behind me. So, I slammed the door behind me and kept running. When I glanced back to see if he had made it through the door yet, he was banging on the window of said door and yelling for me to unlock it. The door was locked and there was no he had locked it, because the door could only be locked from the outside with a key of course, and our parents never gave us keys. There was also no way the door could have accidentally locked when I slammed it behind me, because it needed to be fully turned to lock, and usually required some finagling at the end to make it actually lock. I stood there dumbfounded for a few seconds and then ran to a bathroom and locked myself in there. Definitely feel that saved me that day. I always have weird visions or I'll see something in a dream, but I won't notice that I've seen it. Then like a week or so after I'll see the exact same thing. Almost like deja vu but not quite since it hasn't actually happened before. It would always be something so specific and it has happened multiple times so it can't just be a strange coincidence. Wait, this happens to me too. I'll have a dream where something is happening in the background or I am doing something and I don't register it, and then a few weeks later I'll see it in real life. I'll then realize that I saw it in a dream. My sister pretended to feed my bear when we were kids. I saw the beans on the spoon. She put it to his mouth and scooped. Showed me the spoon and the beans were gone. No beans on his lip. Nothing. Like he actually ate it. She never told me how she did it and she doesn't remember doing it now. I assume you're talking about a teddy bear but I kind of hope you're not. I've got several kids and night terrors are always a bit freaky, but once you know it's normal and what it's like, you kind of get used to it. But my middle child had something happen a couple years ago that didn't seem like it could be a night terror. He's almost 5 now and has been pretty advanced in academics for a while. Somehow learned how to read the names of numbers and colors and such, and I accidentally found out one day when I caught him reading what I had written. He came into my room very upset one night. Night terror. Except he was fully awake. I know they can seem like they're awake but they're not. But I had him doing math. 3 + 2 is 5. Asking very high level questions about things. He seemed fully alert and aware, but he was seeing something my wife and I could not see. Something threatening and scary. The fly was going to get him. He shrieked ear-piercing screeches, consistently turning away and back to the doorway into my master bath where he saw this thing that was invisible to me. This happened for a few nights, too. I could only reassure him that he was okay and nothing was there and we would protect him. You're okay. You're okay, I'd tell him. He always darted down the hallway between his room and mine for a few days after this, reassuring himself by saying I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay as he ran. Poor thing. Freaked my wife and me out completely. There is a sleep condition where you wake up, feel fully cognitive, but are still semi-immersed in a dream that leads to visual and audible hallucinations. Taking the trash out at night. Super remote area so I know for a fact we're the only ones around here. Getting close to the road and I hear very clearly help me from a female voice. Even knowing there's such a slim chance of there being another living person around, I still feel like I should look around and check it out in case I wasn't just hearing things and someone actually needs help. Take about 2 steps in the direction I thought I heard it. Hear a giggle in the same exact voice. Turn around and walk promptly back up the driveway because frick that crap. Anyone who actually needed help wouldn't be laughing, I don't think. Oh frick that. Good instinct. One day when I was about 8 I didn't go to school because I was sick. My friend was supposed to bring me homework etc. But he never came. My granddad came home from work and he told me that that friend was dead. I was devastated. That night I had a dream. I was with my friend at a playground next to our school and we were talking. Then he told me that he is safe and it didn't hurt when that car hit him. The next day my mother wanted to talk to me about that situation and she asked me if I wanted to know what happened. I told her that I know everything because my friend told me. She thought that my granddad told me but he did not. He said that he did not wanted to tell me without her knowing it. That night I had a dream again and I was talking to him again. We were playing and having fun and he told me that he really had to go and we won't see each other ever again. But the next day was his funeral and I really haven't had a dream about him ever since. This didn't happen to me, but to my mother and aunt when they were younger, and to this day is the creepiest thing I've ever heard. So one day when they were around 16 years old they were alone in the house for a couple of hours while their mother was out working. I don't remember exactly which one of them noticed this, but one of them walked into the kitchen and was shocked to find that the stove had somehow been ripped open all the way into the oven. My mother described it as if someone had stabbed the top of the oven, slashed it, and then pulled that slash open with their hands. Both of them saw it, and when I asked my aunt about this story she gave me the same description. Also, this was definitely not a visual hallucination because they swear they reached with their hand from inside the oven to the top through the hole. They both swear they were sober at the time and I believe them because they were raised in an extremely religious environment, so it's impossible they were drunk or high. When my grandmother got home they naturally went to show her the slash, only to find it was completely gone. The stove was completely normal and there was no sign of a hole ever being there. This experience is probably the only reason why I'm not completely skeptical about the supernatural. I've got other personal experiences of this sort, but they all can be explained rationally one way or another in a way that makes complete sense. But this story is way beyond me. I have a good one. I was about 12 years old and woke up in the middle of the night needing to take a leak. I walked across the hall to the little bathroom, hit the lights, and was about to reach for the toilet when I glanced up and saw a face in the mirror. It was not my face. It was as if someone was on the other side, standing to the right, with their face right next to the glass, staring at me. I only saw it for the briefest moment, but it is seared into my brain. I screamed and ran out of there to find my dad. Of course, my dad investigated, then calmed me down, or tried to. Eventually we had a prayer session. Because I was so freaked out, eventually I must have gone back to sleep. Fast forward to my 30s. I'd forgotten all about the event. One night while visiting, my dad quietly brings it up. Remember that one time you saw a face in the mirror? It suddenly came back to me in a rush of memory, sending a chill down my spine. Yay. I remember. Well, he said, I sometimes think about that night. He looked down at the floor with a serious expression. I saw it too. He went on to describe exactly what I'd seen. We have no idea what that was. Apparently when he investigated, he saw it and had a freak out of his own. Apparently the prayer session was as much for his own nerves as mine. I respect him for keeping that tidbit from me till my 30s, but I kinda wish he'd never told me. Wow, that sent a shiver down my spine. That's so scary to think about. Well, my story is a bit creepy cause I lost myself. This was like 7 years ago when I was still in high school. It was a normal day, all classes went well till the math class began. The teacher was explaining the lesson and how it was related to the previous lesson we had the previous day. Everything the teacher was explaining was new to me and never heard before, so I was like, yeah sure. I wasn't paying attention again during that class. So I opened my notebook to check what I wrote about that class. I always write everything discussed during math class cause I sucked at math and my dad was strict about it, which got my teacher to be strict also with me, and found nothing about the previous class. I asked my friend sitting next to me to give me his notebook to make sure, and I found like a whole new material from the last class that I've never seen before. So I started investigating after the class, going around asking my classmates this crazy question: was I here yesterday during the math class? And they were like, what? And I explained the whole thing to them, and apparently I was not there. I attended both classes before and after the math class and wrote everything of both classes in my notebook, but I have no memory where I was during the math class. And the schools where I live have a one-class system where students stay in their class and teachers come to them for the lecture, then leave, and the next subject's teacher comes, and so on. So we know each other well, and everybody I asked said that I wasn't there during the math class. So yeah, I lost myself for approximately an hour. When I was 14, 1995, during the eerie calm before a summer lightning storm, my dog Daisy, Chow Lab Mix, started barking at the corner of the basement. There was nothing to bark at. just stone fireplace and a tile floor. Suddenly a lamp set above the fireplace had the light bulb explode and a painting hung next to it shattering as it flew off the wall at an almost 90-degree trajectory, landing 10 feet from the wall. My brother and I have theorized for years what it was. Our best guess is that lightning hit the chimney and that's what did the damage. We've never been able to figure out how our dog knew it was about to happen. Okay, my sister and I were playing the age-old game of get the frick out of my room. If you've never played it before, all you do is try to get the intruder out. I managed to get her outside the door, but she always trying to push it open while I was attempting to close it. Suddenly, I slam it shut, meaning I won. I turn around and there is my very confused sister wondering how she ended up back in my room. In her confusion, I managed to get her back out. I love how getting her out was still the priority even though she just inexplicably appeared in your room. One time I had a dream where I was on a field trip with my class I had 3-4 years ago. In that dream I was being bullied, but an Asian girl stopped the bullies and high-fived me. The next day we went on a field trip and the exact thing happened. I can't remember that girl's name, but that keeps happening to this day. Not to mention I had a nightmare a week ago, and I started to wake myself up. What I mean is I felt a hand on my face trying to open my eye, and I wake up with my hand on my face prying my eye open. At least it was your hand. Now mobiling in northern Ontario, saw a light in the sky that looked to be flashing something like Morse code. Woke up beside my snowmobile 5 hours later, but seemed like no time had passed. For obvious reasons I always keep a reverse Uno card in my pocket, a blue reverse Uno card which I once found on my nightstand. Anyways, I had accidentally washed it with my pants. It was destroyed. The next day after waking up, guess what I found on my nightstand? A blue Uno reverse card. You better prepare to be washed at some point. You washed the reverse card. Now the reverse card will wash you. I should have fallen into the River Thames once. Me and some friends from uni were exploring London and taking pictures beside the Thames when I decide posing next to the wall is a weak photo, so decide to climb up for better photo opportunities. As I hoisted myself up I must have used far too much power and knew fully I was about to go straight over and into the river, which was like a 20-foot drop. I managed to get 1 foot onto the wall and felt something completely stop my momentum. Almost felt like divine intervention in a way. I stood up straight, alive and still on dry land, as I turned to express how close I was to dying there, and then someone took a photo of me, which is still one of the best photos I've had taken of me to date. About 2 years ago I was driving up a short hill in the overtaking lane. I was attempting to overtake a particularly slow car. I was going far too fast. I absolutely knew this but was somehow fine with it. Then I had a burst of adrenaline and decided to accelerate even harder to overtake the car, before the overtaking lane merged back into one lane. Sometimes I don't think I was successful. I think after I crested the hill I was two abreast in the now single lane. A truck was in the opposite lane starting to come up to the hill and I think I hit it at the right hand side, the truck driver's left side, straight on, at considerable speed. I remember looking at the truck and thinking I'm going to hit it but feeling that that's okay, everything is going to be fine. I think I saw the front of the truck hit and crumple the left side of my car. Saw it come right up to my face then, for a second, nothing but black. A moment later I was parked by a small factory type building about half a mile down the road. I remember my skin feeling prickly and tingly and I felt the adrenaline whoosh out of my body. I cut my journey short and just went home. Now, on occasion things just feel left of center. The world just feels a little more grey and cold, and I mean that literally and figuratively. My family and friends seem absolutely the same and I'm very happy in my life, but some things in the world just seem off. This seems absolutely ridiculous to say, but sometimes I'll be in a place and I'll get an odd, uncomfortable feeling and then the place seems to flash to warmth and sunlight and happiness. It then goes back to the slightly off, grayer place. I see the same physical place but for a while it seems much more beautiful. I'll read an article or listen to the radio and I'll think that that's not how it's supposed to be. So I'll Google it and sure enough I was wrong. It's not all the time and it doesn't worry me. As I said, my personal life is the same and I'm happy. It's the outside world that sometimes feels so off and so wrong. Something not dissimilar happened to a friend of mine who nearly died in a very well publicized and violent terrorist attack a few years ago but escaped. They were diagnosed with dissociation and PTSD. I rarely dream, and when I do I would usually forget them an hour or so after waking up. Then there are the what I call death dreams. Happened to me maybe 2 times ever that involved me snapping awake after I died in my dreams. One was how I was crossing the road killed by a car running the red light, and the other I was killed by a mattress thrown out the window and landing on me. I remembered both dreams in detail to this day, and both times I was in the exact same situations and I hesitated taking another step. Car blew past me running a red light. Mattress landed with a loud thud 2-3 steps in front of me. When I was in high school, I remember reading a question on a test, thinking to myself, why do I already know the exact numeric answer? I'm not even done reading it. Thinking on it for a brief moment, I realized I had literally dreamt this exact question word for word the night before. Only time it's ever happened to me, but to my grave I will swear that it did. Got it right. BTW. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.